Okay, good afternoon. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good. My name is Ria. Some of you have had the opportunity to see me when I was here for the session on diversity in the workplace, which I actually like to refer to as fostering inclusion. And basically what that was about, if you guys remember, was just about that it's important to foster inclusion of all types of people into a work group, because more different types of people you have in the same work group, the more likelihood you have to be successful. So when we think about Mission Impossible, for example, right? We can't be all Tom Cruises. We can't all be the leaders. So we have the leaders, the bomb experts, the IT experts, the disguise experts, the language experts, and together this team, with all their unique qualities, can accomplish Mission Impossible. Additionally, another kind of takeaway from that training, which now I'm going to move into what we're going to be talking about today, is point of view. So let's say, for example, let's pretend that this is a stick, okay? So what is this stick to a dog? A toy, right? I actually had someone the other day say, oh, the dog thinks it's a weapon, we're going to hit him with it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that poor dog that you have, that you're thinking the dog doesn't see this stick as a toy, but that's beside the point. So it's a toy. What is this stick to an angry person? A weapon, right? Or if you are into conflict negotiation like I am, it's a talking stick, but regardless, we'll stick with weapon. What is this to a musician? An instrument, right? So it's either a drumstick or it could even be a baton, right? If you're a conductor, all right? What is this to someone who might be cold? Firewood, right, it's fire, good, excellent. So, point of view, this is a stick. But depending on your point of view, it is a toy, it is a weapon, it is an instrument, it's fire. You're all right, and you're all looking at the same exact thing, but your point of view changes what this is. And this is what I want to utilize this thinking towards understanding sexual harassment. Now, I'm not going to talk about sexual harassment in terms so much of quid pro quo, which in Latin means this for that. In other words, you give me sex, I give you a promotion. We're not going to go there, okay? What I want to talk about is point of view where I do something, say something, show something, gesture something, and I think it's okay from my point of view. But from another person's point of view, it's offensive, okay? Let me give you an example. Recently, a lot of studies have shown that male and female counterparts, okay, both do this, we tend to comment on a female coworker's appearance, okay? In a positive way, let's just say in terms of giving a compliment. We won't go the other direction just yet. So I would say I'm more likely to say to a female coworker, oh, what a cute scarf you have on today. Oh, I love your nail polish. Oh, those are cute shoes, though, this season's. Men and women do this. And men and women both tend to comment on a male coworker's job performance. So we inherently have this tendency, some might call it sexist. What we are discovering, though, is that we all have a tendency to do this. So one of the things that I would like to work with today with everyone is to kind of have everyone leave here feeling safe, feeling valued as coworkers, as colleagues, okay? As everyone working towards the same goal, and eliminating all of the things that may cause miscommunications, misinterpretations, grievances, sexual harassment lawsuits, okay? Strained relationships, low morale, We want to create an environment where everyone feels good about coming to work, because the average American spends the majority of their waking life at work. And I know that I want to come to work. If I'm going to spend the majority of my waking life there, I want to come to a place where I feel good about working, people value my work, and we talk about work, and we're very productive at work, we get the job done, and we go home to our families, okay? So that's what we're going to work on here today. We're going to take a look at some of those kind of gray areas when we talk about sexual harassment. So let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to know what it is, okay? We're going to talk about how we can prevent it from occurring. And when we talk about the prevention of sexual harassment, we're also going to talk about it in terms of hostile work environment, which encompasses quite a bit of other types of behaviors, which we're also going to discuss, such as gossip. What's gossip? Gossip is a form of violence because gossip is meant to assassinate a person's character. If you are engaging in gossip, it is an act of violence, granted on the low end of the continuum of violence. But if we start with gossip, guess what happens next? People start joking, okay? Joking where a person is the butt end of the joke, okay? And pranks. Collectively, these behaviors are called bullying, by the way. So, then this leads to absenteeism. People aren't coming to work because they don't feel good about being there. They don't want to get picked on. They don't want to get teased. They don't want people talking about them, okay? Absenteeism leads to issues at work. People might start stealing things because they're mad at each other, okay? We have people sabotaging each other's work, okay? Beginning to escalate now, this continuum of violence, okay? Now we have safety issues. People aren't securing things. They're not securing the area. They're not securing the building. They're not securing sensitive information because too much time is being spent in this vicious cycle that's going on, okay? So, safety concerns, theft, sabotage. Eventually we get into verbal altercations, which then lead to possibly physical altercations, and then lead to catastrophic events like homicide and suicide. So we want to be a part of starting out at the prevention end of the continuum. Okay, we want to stop things before they become a problem, and that's what we're going to learn about here today. So we're going to prevent sexual harassment from occurring, okay? We're going to learn how to avoid an awful experience and follow federal and state guidelines. But outside of the federal and state guidelines, you here have laws, right? You have the city, your organization has a set of laws and rules that you have access to through your intranet. So I encourage all of you to make sure that you read through those, you become familiar about the reporting process. You can see that it is encouraged that you report things should you experience or witness anything, who to go to, etc., etc. Okay, so you do have a set of rules in place in order for you, a code of conduct, in order for you to know what is expected of you here. Okay, so what is it? The Equal Employment Commission's definition, it's an unwelcome sexual advance, request for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical contact of sexual nature, okay? Now let's talk about this unwelcome, right? We have cases like Bill O'Reilly, for example. We have a case currently, Gretchen with Fox News, for example, where after so many years, they're saying all these behaviors that were going on this entire time were not welcome, okay? I don't know what's going on in those cases. Some people might say, oh, you're complaining now just because you got fired, or you should have said something back then. Regardless, the point is that people are now being dragged, their names are being dragged through the mud, they're having to hire lawyers, they have to answer to the courts, okay, things that we could have avoided by not engaging in behaviors in the workplace of a sexual nature. So, let's say I have my good buddy, we've been working together for 20 years, I trust him with my life, so him and I can joke about these types of things. I can show him stuff from the internet of a sexual nature because it means nothing. We can make jokes. It doesn't mean anything. One day, however, your buddy of 20 years can turn on you. for whatever reason. They changed their mind about something, they had an experience in their life that changed them, you did something that they didn't like, and now they have a change of heart. And all those behaviors that were wanted are now unwanted. Or you're dating someone at work, which you should never do, but we'll get to that. And then suddenly they decide, oh, I'm mad at you, you didn't give me a ring by Christmas, guess what? Everything that you did, I'm going to report you. And you still, even if you're exonerated, you still have to be put through that entire rigmarole that you can prevent just by not engaging in these types of behaviors. So, unwelcome, welcome. It could be welcome and unwelcome the next day, so please keep that in mind. Okay, so submission to such conduct is made explicitly or implicitly as a term or condition of employment. Submission to a rejection of such conduct by an individual is used as the basis for employment decisions. Such conduct has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with an individual's work performance or creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Okay. Additionally, these types of behaviors make other people around us uncomfortable as well. So we have to consider the place as a whole, the workplace as a whole, to create a hostile environment which interferes with people's ability to be able to do their job. Okay? So, what is it? It's illegal. Okay? I think we all know that. It is conduct that can happen not just by your coworkers, but also the public, vendors, customers, visitors, okay, clients, anyone you come into contact with, and you are protected as long as you say something to your employer. Okay? It still happens, okay, unfortunately, which is why I'm here today. Okay? And most often, these types of abuses are about abuses of power. Okay? It's not really sexual necessarily. It's really about a power differential, making people feel uncomfortable, taking advantage of people and getting off on that power trip. Okay? I don't understand this one, repeated or sufficiently gross, but okay. I'll go with the repeated part. So a lot of times I get questions like, so Ria, tell me if someone does something and they say something, should I report them? I think you should always bring it to your attention of your manager or supervisor, regardless of what the behavior is. Now, should you file a grievance, you and your manager or supervisor can bring this up. But if you miss it or don't do it, okay, people do things wrong all the time. You've made mistakes before, I've made mistakes before. Guess what? We're all going to be wrong again. Okay, that is the nature of being human. So if you do something because your medication was off, your hormones are going crazy, you're in the middle of a divorce and you hate men right now, whatever the case may be, you might do something off the wall, okay? But people who have people who have issues with this will do it again and again and again. It won't be a one-off. Okay, so again, people are allowed to have that mulligan. We don't have to worry about catching someone that one time. They'll do it again. They will do it again, which is why it's important to bring it to people's attention so that other people also don't get hurt. So it also can be verbal, nonverbal, or physical. And written also. The other good thing about this training is it includes that written communication. And we're going to talk a little bit about emails and text messages and our social media and how those can be avenues of visually sexually harassing people. I just did this training, well, I did it here yesterday, and I did it at the City of Columbus 2 days before that. And I do this exercise where I have everyone write down, because their training's a little bit longer, I have everyone write down one example of physical sexual harassment they've experienced or witnessed, visual, they've experienced or witnessed, and verbal, they've experienced or witnessed. So why do I do this? Is because as we go around the room, we find out, and these are the gray areas that I'm talking about, we find out that one person says something that they found offensive, and there's another person in the room who's been doing that behavior. I'll give you 2 examples. First one, okay, was the one that I've already alluded to. The one where I say, you know, if you show people, oh, look at this funny thing on Facebook, look at this funny meme that has a sexual content, that may show nudity, that may be sexist, or something like that, but you think it's harmless. It's on Facebook. I'm just going to show it to this person. There are people that don't appreciate that. If you forward a lewd joke, if you forward something via text message, there are people that don't want to see that. I'm going to tell you, you shouldn't do that, right? Because as we went around the room, some person in the room popped up and said, I'm that person. I guess I should stop doing that. I should stop showing these things to my coworkers. They thought they were engaging in harmless fun, but they weren't. They were visually harassing coworkers. The second example that came about through this exercise, the person in the room says, give us an example of physical harassment. Well, you know, there's this person at work that just hugs everybody, and I don't want to get hugged, okay? Going around the room, person in the room says they don't work in the same place, they just happen to have parallel existences within other departments of the city. This woman says, I'm the hugger. I had no idea that people could have thought that there was anything wrong with that. So this is why we have these trainings, to come to realize that something we may be doing is not appropriate, and we've been doing it. Also, for those of us who might be experiencing something that we feel is crossing the line, to say to you, it's okay to say, I want you to stop doing this. And also we're going to learn how we can go about expressing that in a fashion where we build bridges and we don't build dams. Okay? So, moving on. So we talked about that quid pro quo. Okay, it can be in terms of threats or rewards. Okay? But this is what we see most of, the hostile environment. Okay? And again, we talked about unwelcome, could have been welcome 2 minutes ago. Degrading or offensive language, actions, or jokes. Jokes should never be at the cost of an individual. If a person is the butt end of the joke, again, I remind you that this is not humor, it's bullying. Now, I've heard this before. I've heard people say, Ria, come on. You're taking all the fun out of my job. Some of us show up early for this kind of stuff, right? If you need some material for humor, cats do funny stuff on the internet, and I think most of us are okay with cats, okay? Most of us are. So find something that does not come at the cost of another person, okay? And also, speaking of cats and at the cost of earthlings, the cucumber thing is not okay either. So the cucumber thing with the cats is not okay. Anyone knows what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. Okay. And then someone's like, what is she talking about? Someone want to say what it is? Who knows what it is to tell? Go ahead, ma'am, please.
If you put a cucumber behind a cat and it turns around, it scares it, and they fly in the air. Yeah.
I shouldn't be laughing, it's cruel. Okay. So really what a hostile environment is, the behavior keeps happening and happening. It affects your job performance and your work environment. So remember, we want to have a place where we have high morale. Morale indicators are humor, okay, laughter, courtesy language. Okay, I have 3 kids. We teach them to say, hello, good morning, excuse me, please, thank you, you're welcome. And then we turn into grown-ups and people say, good morning. And we say, what's good about it? Okay? So we want to try to keep courtesy language going in our environments. Tidy workspaces is something else that's great. Bringing something interesting to the office, okay? Like a plant, pictures of your 5 cats, which I do have 5 cats. Anything like that that can make the environment a little bit more interesting. Okay? What it isn't. It's not, you can't say, I didn't mean it, okay, and then say, oh, well, he didn't mean it, it's okay. Because there's no real way to test that, unless we go on Maury Povich and we give him a lie detector test. You did intend that, okay, we can't do that. So what we say here is that you are 100% responsible for your behaviors. So you have to know that regardless of what your intentions are, and this is the reason why we have training such as this one, is to know what is appropriate, what isn't appropriate, and to be held accountable for your actions. Okay, so intentions are not really something that we utilize to determine whether it's sexual harassment or not. Okay? Mutually acceptable and normally fun. Again, this is a dangerous place to go. This can change at any point in time. So generally speaking, I encourage people not to engage in any types of conversations that have to do with sex, your personal sex life, someone else's sex life, sexist jokes, even if you are, it's not a male-female thing, it's not male making sexist jokes about women. We are women make sexist jokes about men all the time. All men are pigs, okay? That's a sexist thing to say. Now, I want to also say that, you know, there's all these gray areas. I have 2 really easy rules of thumb to help you decide whether this is something you should do or not do, okay? First one, would you do this, say this, text this, show this, if your significant other was watching? The answer is no, you shouldn't do it. Now, some of us have a looser moral compass than others, so we'll go with the second rule, just in case you're not sure. Would you want someone to say this, text this, show this, gesture this to your daughter, to your son, to your wife, to your sister, to your mother? If the answer is no, you shouldn't do it. Okay? So those are 2 easy things to always remember on top of all the other stuff we're going to learn here today. Okay, so we said it's not always male or women. Okay, it could be anyone. It's only a problem in certain settings. It's a standardized thing. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to standardize behaviors so that everyone feels safe. That's the idea. Okay? Now, a well-intentioned compliment or invitation. I addressed this at the beginning of the program. So if I just say, oh, I love your little, you know, Christmas sweater, so cute. That's not sexual harassment. But why don't I take the time instead to compliment my coworker on the fact that she did a great job with this person who came in to seek our services? Why don't I thank the officer who tackled this problem before it became a safety issue? Those are the types of things. It's the same thing as if your kid comes and builds something or draws something, and you just say, oh, that's so cute, I love it, great job. Kids know that you're not paying attention to what they're doing. The same thing with those compliments. It's kind of something that's empty. What you want to say is, I see you utilize a lot of different materials here, and it must have been really challenging to get them to work together. You made various angles come together in this structure. It sounds great. I see you use a lot of different colors. I've noticed you started putting more detail on the leaves on your tree. Those are really sincere compliments where you're really taking a moment to pay attention to what they're doing. Same thing with our coworkers. So generally speaking, we want to move away from those types of compliments. But then, of course, there's, that shirt is really flattering on you, okay? That's a different type of compliment. Now we're moving into sexual harassment, which is why we want to kind of avoid that altogether, because it's very easy to start crossing those lines. And again, it's not a single minor incident, right? We all have those days. But people who it's not just those days will do it again. Okay, so here's how it goes. So now you've attended the training, and some things are going to change. Hopefully, if I do my job right, some things will start changing in terms of how you handle things. So here's a scenario of what that might look like. Well, I think that group meeting went pretty well. Yeah, good, so did I. You know, you really ought to wear that outfit to every group meeting. It was a big hit, and that perfume, terrific. Victor, stop it. What do you mean? I don't want you making comments like that about my appearance or my personal life. That's off limits. Well, lighten up. How was I supposed to know? You never said anything about it before. Well, I tried to, but you didn't take a hint. So now I'm telling you, I wanted to stop. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Can't you take a compliment? Sheesh. I want you to stop talking to me this way. Your comments have made me feel uncomfortable. Don't do it again. Fine. If that's the way you want it, fine. Notice a couple of things here that are important for this to go towards building a bridge. Okay? One, we are not trying to be nasty or mean. We are firm and friendly when we say, I wasn't clear with you before. I'm taking responsibility for that. I'm clearly telling you now, I feel uncomfortable. Okay? So you own the feeling. Not you're a jerk. Not you're a pig. I feel uncomfortable. I don't want you to do this again. Please stop. So firm and friendly, and you own it, okay? And then you move forward afterwards. So that's what's really important, is that don't do it again, and then you move on, okay? And I like to add on to this, now let's talk about the quarterly reports, or let's see who has the next shift, or let's go finish this paperwork. I like to kind of shift the focus towards something that we're working on together to get us back on track towards working towards a common goal. Motivation is the relentless pursuit of the goal, being motivated to work towards working together at work. So this is how a case scenario would kind of break down in an optimal way. Now, of course, this is ideal, right? There may be a couple of more sentences in here that might happen, a little bit more emotion, which is okay, but eventually this is what it's going to boil down to. And you can do it. How can you do it? I suggest that when you're getting ready to have that tough conversation, that you practice with a trusted friend at home. I wouldn't practice with a coworker, only because we don't want to do that rumor mill business. Practice at home, practice with a mirror, okay? And get ready to say what you want to say. Own it, how you're feeling. Make the request clear and deliver it in a firm but friendly fashion. Okay, because you're going to keep working together, right? And the majority of your waking life. So we want to build bridges, not dams. Okay, so examples of verbal harassment. Threats, insults, offensive or suggestive comments, whistles, sexual innuendos, offensive jokes, practical jokes, sexual propositions, pressures for dates. I'm going to pause on this one for just a moment. Hey, Ria, you know, as soon as you get divorced, I'm the first in line, right? Oh, you're so funny, you're so cute. Hey, Ria, I heard you went out last weekend with some coworkers. How come I wasn't invited? You know we'd have a lot of fun together. Oh, you're so funny, you're so cute. What's wrong with what I'm doing? Nothing? It's okay at school?
It's encouraging.
Yes, thank you. I'm encouraging someone because I'm not saying no. Now remember that firm but friendly thing I said. So I don't want to turn around and say, not a chance in H, okay? We don't need to go there. We want to say, no thank you. Please don't ask me anymore. It makes me feel uncomfortable, okay? Don't ask me again, okay? Now let's talk about the quarterly reports. So that's how you want to do it. Having said that, if you've asked someone out once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and they haven't said yes, they're not going to say yes the 10th time you ask them either. So if someone does not say yes, stop asking them. There's a lot of different reasons why people don't feel empowered to say, no thank you, please stop asking, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Because they were maybe socialized that they don't want to appear to be a B, right? They don't want to hurt your feelings. They have been in abusive relationships before, so they're afraid to speak up, okay? They don't want to rock the boat at work. They want to be liked. They know that this person knows a lot of people. There's a million different reasons why people don't feel comfortable speaking up for themselves. So after a certain amount of times, if you don't get a yes, drop it. Okay? So, propositions and pressure for dates. Kidding, teasing, threats, foul or obscene language. Okay, we might say that everyone in my office is cool with us using the F-bomb, but there could be someone walking by, right? Could be a person of authority. It could be someone's kid at work. So we really don't want to use that type of language if we're professionals. That type of language does not belong in a professional environment. And then, just like the hugs, okay, don't hug at work. Hug your kids twice as much when you go home, okay? If you're a hugger, oh, I got a hug. Save it for when you go home and then hug your kids, okay? If you like to use the F-bomb, save it, then go home and drop as many as you like. Pick up the phone, call a friend, just go bam, 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 bam. Do whatever you want to do. Just don't do it at work. That's all we're asking you to do, is to remain professional at work. Because people here at work didn't necessarily choose to be around you, and we all come from very different walks of life, okay? Some of us are bikers, some of us like country music, some of us are vegan, some of us are, you know, we love to volunteer, some of us love winter, some of us hate winter. Everyone's vastly different, okay? What I like to talk about, what I call the cultural iceberg. So the iceberg is like the tip of the iceberg is all you see. So all you know about me, really, and all I know about you right now is just the tip of the iceberg of who you are. All this other stuff about you is not known to me. So we don't also want to, you know, imagine that everyone else around us is exactly like us. We have no idea what they're like, okay? So we don't want to make a mistake of titanic proportions. Isn't that funny? I thought that was funny. Okay, demeaning comments regarding gender or sexual orientation is another one. Nonverbal harassment, the elevator looks, right? Where you look someone up and down, okay? Staring, leering, suggestive gestures, we know what those are. Showing graphic, foul, or offensive pictures, again, internet related. Even drawing them, okay? It's bad. Obscene gestures, printed material objects, or inappropriate gifts. Let's talk about gifts, because it's the holiday season. Place looks great, by the way. So we may engage in an exchange with our coworkers, or we just want to be grateful to a support staff or someone who did something especially nice for us this year. So let's not give gifts that may be inappropriate, such as personal items. Like maybe a lot of people give lotions, okay? Mostly because these are just, they've been going their rounds, okay? Because this lotion, I'm never going to use this. I'm going to use this. So I don't encourage giving lotions, by the way, because if there's an iffy situation, it could become iffier. Okay, candles may be okay, but I would prefer for people in a work environment to give things related to work. A nice pen, some nice stationery, a nice weight thing to hold the papers down, okay? Something that will help them at work. Okay? You don't have to do this, these are all choices, but I'm saying I would try to keep those gifts towards something that is expressive of your professional relationship, okay? And then save the lotions and the candles and, you know, the personal items for your friends. Okay. Physical harassment. Okay, so I had someone here in the front row last time, and I'm recording, so I need a volunteer is what I need. One person, doesn't matter, male or female, somebody. Or I can pick you. That's it. All right, this gentleman in the front, come on over. Okay, so let me grab a chair. Okay, so I need your permission. I'm not going to touch you, but I need your permission to get in your personal space. Okay. Okay, have a seat, sir. Thank you. All right. So we talk about physical space. So let's say he's working on something, okay? And all right, so then I turn around and I go, hey, how's it going? How are the reports going over here? Good. Right? So I'm right in his personal space, and I got permission ahead of time, so I feel okay with that. But other than, if I hadn't, I would instead, how would I handle that? I would say, what's your name, sir?
Nathan.
Hey, Nathan, can I see those reports real quick? May I?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. This is how we do it. We want to keep an arm's length away. Even though I may not have meant it, I need to be cognizant of the fact that I am invading Nathan's personal space. You don't want to tap them on the back. Hey, nice work, buddy. Okay? We don't want to do that. We certainly don't want to pull a football action. Good job, okay? Right? We don't want to do one of those especially. Generally speaking, we don't want to pull. So, Nathan, you look tense. Let me give you a little bit of a massage. Okay? Generally speaking, we don't put our hands in another person's body, but we also are sensitive to the fact that in American business culture, 1 arm's length is the standard, and you need to maintain that, okay? Now, some of you work in a field of work where you have to practice or spar or practice holds or things like that within your training, or you have to get close because you have to save a life, that's different. It's part of your job description, of course. Okay? But to do something like this, there are other ways to do it. So, that's what we mean about physical harassment. It is physical harassment to do that. Or if someone is like, you know, sitting over there, and we kind of corner them, like, hey, how's it going? It's like, yeah, I'm doing great. So this doesn't make anyone feel comfortable either. So we really want to avoid doing that kind of stuff. Okay. All right, hugging, kissing. Remember, hugging's on here. So if you're a hugger, remember, save it for home. Written harassment, letters, notes, emails, text messages, showing Facebook feeds. Somebody asked me the other day, well, what if I put up something on my Facebook feed and I'm friends with someone at work? I say, that's the workplace. There isn't a lot of rules around that just yet. We will see it more and more. No, number one, that your employers can look around your Facebook page. And a lot of people are trying to hire you, do look at that, okay? Anytime that I get an intern for my show on the radio station, I will look at their Facebook page. I will. Because that's a really quick way to find out who this person is. Okay, so know that your Facebook page, unless you have ultra private settings, that people can see certain things. And if you friend someone from work and you put out scantily clad something, you put out something inappropriate, I was just kidding. Remember, intent doesn't matter. You can get in trouble. If you go bowling with someone from work and you say certain things, that's the workplace. Okay? Dart league, pool league, drinks, coffee, lunch, anything that you do with a coworker, whether it's in the virtual space or in the real space at work or off work, it's considered the workplace. So I don't recommend that people be friends on Facebook with their coworkers. Of course, you can do whatever you want, right? Everything's a choice. But you can also try to set them at the acquaintance. There's also a thing for acquaintances. You can set them under acquaintances, whether or not they can't see all of your feed, but it's just easy not to just not do it. Okay? But again, your choice. So graffiti, letters, that type of thing. Okay, so here's some examples of things that happened. Okay, and what's important about these examples is what we have underlined here, and that's these numbers. Okay, and why do we care about these cases? Why do we care that the National Guard had to pay out $231,000 because people failed to investigate her complaints of sexual harassment? Okay, other than the fact that everyone at work is feeling uncomfortable, someone has been violated and potentially emotionally scarred, the fact that people have to pay out $1.7 million, $3.5 million means less money for you. Anything that any agency, organization puts out, any money they put out towards these types of damages is less money for hiring staff, less money to replace equipment, less money for incentives and raises. So this is an additional reason why you really want to be a part about creating a safe workplace, right? We want the money to go towards something positive, not paying damages for things that are pretty much 100% preventable. Okay? So a female firefighter was awarded $1.7 million after being fired for complaining about sexual harassment that came at the hands of our supervising lieutenant. $200,000 paid out to a former Atlanta School District bus driver who claimed her manager exposed himself to her, tried to have sex with her, and then fired her after she refused. That's the quid pro quo we talked about. A former public pool lifeguard was awarded a whopping $3.5 million after she claimed her manager propositioned her and ogled her in her bathing suit. She complained to 6 separate supervisors, none of whom took any action, and then was fired on top of that. I imagine one of the reasons this was a large number is probably this was a very young person, probably a teenager, on top of that. Okay. Now we're going to have a discussion with our neighbors. I'm going to read the scenario, you guys are going to talk, and I'm going to select a couple different people to come up and talk about it. All right, great. Yay. Suzanne and Hank enjoy a great working relationship, and they just recently have started dating. They can't seem to get enough of each other. They take breaks and lunch together, and are often seen flirting at the copy machine. They are clearly infatuated with each other. Okay, now, flirting can mean anything. Romance has no place at work. This couple's behavior is clearly at risk for sexual harassment. True or false? Have a discussion with someone, and then I'll randomly pick someone out of the group. What do you guys think? Well, don't tell me.
Early bird lady. Software.
Okay, who wants to volunteer to come up? My microphone isn't working, but who wants to volunteer to come up to chat about this? No, I'm talking to you. No, talking to you. Yeah, come on over. Come on over.
Happy birthday, Heather.
Oh, is it your birthday? Happy birthday! Okay.
We all think it's true.
Okay, it's true that romance has no place at work.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
It just makes others uncomfortable.
That's correct. And then we have people getting into, wait, let's hold on. Then we have people feeling uncomfortable about it, and then we have people forming cliques, and then it might be even a supervisor position, people getting favoritism. It really ruins everything. Are they at risk for sexual harassment on top of that?
Yeah.
Because,
I think so.
because what type of harassment would that fall under? Visual, physical, or verbal?
It could be any.
Could be any of them, right? So what recommendation would you have? Because what if I found the love of my life? I love him. What do I do?
Yeah, I guess you could quit your job.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Give Heather a round of applause. Yes. That's the thing. I'm happy that you found love, right? But you need to get another job. Yes, sir.
What if your spouse or your girlfriend doesn't work with you, but she shows up at the workplace and you flirt and you do all this other stuff? Is that still sexual harassment in the workplace then?
That is an excellent question. One that I've never been.
Trying to toe the line there. Where it is.
That's an excellent question. One I've never been asked before, but I do have an answer. Depends on how far you take it, depends on who's around, and depends on someone complains. So if it was a one-time thing, and you kissed her, okay, you said, okay, honey, thank you for coming by. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so happy to see you. And nobody says anything and it doesn't happen again, not a big deal. If she's coming in every day, someone eventually is going to say something, that's when it becomes a problem. So there's always these one-offs that happen all the time, right? So what I would recommend that you do, it also depends on the people around you. I would recommend, sure, your wife can come in. I would abstain from doing long type of kissing. Okay, peck on the cheek. I don't think most people between a husband and wife, especially one that doesn't work here, coming in to say hi, or a quick peck on the lips, I think is okay. And I think most people would agree with me. Someone might complain, and if they do, you just won't be able to do that again. But I would say go ahead with that. Let your wife come in. You go bring her flowers. She brings you lunch. Give each other a peck on the lips. Use terms of endearment. All good. If it does make someone uncomfortable, you may have to modify their practice. But otherwise, you're okay to go. Great question. Yes, is there another one from the floor? Okay, let's keep going. Very good. Okay. So harassment can happen from anyone. Your manager can do it, the executives can do it, anyone at any level, coworker, customer, client, supplier, contractor. Just keep in mind, if something happens and you feel uncomfortable, you have to let your people know, your human resources person, your manager, your supervisors, so that they don't put you in front of that vendor again, so that you don't go visit that client's house alone again, or at all again, or someone else goes, okay? Or they make sure that someone's there if this person comes back into the office. People can't protect you and help keep you safe if they're not aware of what's going on. So if you're currently experiencing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, please tell someone. But we also have the idea that we all need to be a part of keeping our workplace safe. So in the example that I gave earlier about gossip, right? If you see two people gossiping, you say, even if it's not, they're not even talking to you directly, feel free to do the following. Excuse me, I hear you talking about someone in a negative fashion who is not here to defend themselves even. I would like you to please stop talking about that person. If you have something to say, you should direct it to them directly. And if you'd like, I can help you. Okay? Simple. If you see someone doing something inappropriate, right? Ask that person, are you okay with that? Are you okay that she bent over that close to you? I think that was weird. How did you feel about it? Was it Nathan? Nathan, how did you feel about it? So check in with people, right? Because he might think, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want people to think that I'm being weird. All she did was like lean over my desk to look at the paperwork. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I observe this and I go to Nathan and I say, Nathan, was that okay? Because it seemed a little bit too much to me. Nathan, at that point in time, might feel empowered to say, you know what, I'm so glad you said something, because honestly, I didn't like it either. But I didn't know if I was making a big deal about it or not. So we all want to be a part of creating that environment where everyone feels safe. So speak up, okay? Directly to the offender, report the incident to your supervisor, follow the protocol that you have in your code of conduct. Document the unwanted behavior. This also applies for violence in the workplace, okay? What we want to look for, if we talk about violence in the workplace especially, is changes in a person's norm. So if a person, 100 days out of 100, you say, good morning, and they say, what's good about it? But on day 101, you say, good morning, and they say, good morning, how are you today? That's a huge red flag. So you really want to pay attention to people's behaviors. So when things start getting weird, or you see things that shouldn't be happening, write down. Day, this day, this is how they responded. They took longer than usual to come back from the parking lot. I've noticed that they've started doing this behavior. They were late, they used these words. Start documenting date, time, behavior. Also, really important for managers to be able to really sink their teeth into a complaint. Talk about how it affects productivity, okay? Because this allows them something to work with other than just like a he said, she said. Just observable job performance issues is what we talk about. But also, if we start seeing Ria, okay, I noticed Ria leaned in really close to Nathan, and she did it to him 3 days in a row. And then she did it to this guy, and she did it to this person. She's doing it everywhere I'm noticing. Document, document. So when you present that, you have it in writing. So important to do that. And a lot of times we think, oh, I'll remember when they do it the next time. You won't. You have to write it down. Okay? Go to the human resources or a manager. Call your E4 Health hotline. It's available to you for you to go and get those types of services. Consult with any other government agencies that you might need to consult with. Okay? So, what is one of the things that you can do? Okay, yourself personally. Remember, understand what sexual harassment is, and I think we all have a good, clear understanding of what that is. It's fairly relative. Okay, means something different to everyone. But I do know that I should not be putting my hands on other people's bodies. I know that. I should not be discussing anything of a sexual nature, nor forwarding or showing anything of a sexual nature. I know that now, okay? I have a code of conduct that I can refer to in terms of what I need to do. I know that if I wouldn't want my husband to see me doing this, or if I wouldn't want someone to do this to my little girl, I know that I shouldn't be doing this, okay? So we all understand now what it is, okay? Even though it's relative, we now have that kind of baseline that we all should follow. Treat everyone with respect and dignity, okay? The golden rule says, treat others how you want to be treated. The platinum rule is, treat others how they would want to be treated. There's a difference. Let others know what bothers you. Yes, sir.
The first one, fourth one there kind of bothers me a little bit.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Ask others if they're okay with your behavior.
Please tell me.
I mean, if you joke with somebody and all of a sudden, hey, are you okay with this? And they say okay, but they're not okay. It's what's good today is good tomorrow. I mean, I can just see that being a problem.
Okay. So your question is, or your statement is exactly, even asking them if it's okay isn't an assurance that it is okay.
Right.
Right, and I agree with you.
Okay.
And I agree with you. But it is a good idea to check in case you owe someone an apology. So in that particular, I agree with you, because he's right. Say, oh, you know, I'm gonna make a couple sexist jokes. Is that okay with you? Oh yeah, sure, it's fine. And then you get reported, okay? Because you shouldn't make those sexist jokes at work. Absolutely. This also speaks to, you may be here right now and realize, I did a bunch of stuff that I should not have been doing. I need to go to that person and say, you know, are you okay with what I did? Because I'm feeling like I shouldn't have done that, and I want you to know that I'm sorry, and it's never going to happen again. And follow through on that commitment. So this is kind of like checking for understanding and moving forward, taking ownership and asking for an apology, and never doing that again. Thank you. And let others know what bothers you. Remember, the key is to do it in a firm and friendly fashion. Okay? No thank you. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it. I don't want you to do it again. Thank you very much. Now let's move forward towards work. Okay? And also say no clearly and tell the individual that you expect the behavior to stop. Really, really simple stuff. Okay? So I think we all have a good handle on this now. Okay? Remember that there are some people who have passive acceptance because of many different reasons. Okay? But it doesn't mean they go and speak up for themselves. Some people just don't. I mentioned earlier, they could have been victims in their past lives. They feel that this person's in power. They want everyone to like them. They don't want to rock the boat. They're not sure if they're making a big deal out of it, like the example that I gave with the gentleman who was the volunteer. Okay, he doesn't say anything because he thinks that he's making a big deal out of it. But it doesn't mean that it's okay, or that they welcome it, or it's acceptable, okay, or that it's not bothering them. And remember, people who feel uncomfortable coming to work don't come to work, which means your workload is higher. Okay? They are sick, they withdraw. Now we have a place with low morale. Okay? They feel powerless. And also keep in mind, and I can't stress this enough, everyone that you're working with here today has an entire family behind them, relying on them to take care of them, okay, financially through their job, but also to be emotionally available to them when they get home. And if they are in an environment where they are suffering the majority of their waking life, they are not valuable to their children and their significant others and their families, not to mention the service that they're doing to the public. Okay, so you have to bear that in mind. You're not just hurting a person, you're hurting their families as well. And again, now we have overtime, okay, we have less productivity, less creativity, we don't meet deadlines, we don't have confidence. None of us want this type of stuff going on, which is why we all need to be a part of keeping our workplaces safe and preventing these types of behaviors. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, it's just the season. Thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you.